Spotlight with Shadow, a Canadian dad who's got his finger on the pulse of global entertainment and sports. Each episode features unfiltered conversations with everyday creatives, musicians, wrestlers, filmmakers, and more from every corner of the globe. No fluff, just raw, real stories. This is Spotlight with Shadow, presented by Off the Top Media.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Spotlight with Shadow. I am your host, That Guy Shadow. Today I am joined by the Heartbreak Prince of the main event players himself, Mr. TJay Gatsby. What is going on, my dude?
What is up? Sick ass intro. I know y'all couldn't see it because the video was playing, but I was literally headbanging backstage watching this shit because I love a good fucking intro, and that shit was top notch.
Yeah, shout out to Burning Bridges. They're the music behind that. So thanks to those boys over there. So let me start off here with saying it's a pleasure to have you. I enjoy what you do on your product of your podcast, and I'm glad to sit down and interview you today. Now, let's talk about Mr. TJay, but as a young adult, before you hit,
Okay.
We're going to go back in time here a little bit, stealing a little repertoire from The Will Gray, if I will. So tell me, what was life growing up for you? Where are you from? Like, come on, tell us.
So I am from Texas. More specifically, I'm from South Houston. Life growing up I was probably your average kid. I started watching wrestling at a very young age, so I had to deal with the people being like, it's fake, right? Yada, yada, yada. So I didn't really get bullied as a kid, more just made fun of for watching wrestling. But besides that, it was a pretty average upbringing until I got to high school. I was a weird kid in high school. Like, I thought I was normal, probably thought I was the main character. But looking back on it, I'm just like, I don't condone bullying in most cases. But I look back and I'm like, I would have bullied myself. I probably would have beat the fuck out of myself. It was very cringe. You could probably do a whole try not to cringe YouTube video just on me in high school, and you'd fail the video 5 seconds in. It was
So why was it so cringy though, my dude? Like, why?
Because I was the type of guy who I don't know. I feel like I always thought I was the perfect person. Like, I felt like if I was in your life, I made it better. Like, there was nothing that could go wrong in your life if I was there. And it translated in relationships. I didn't have a relationship in high school because, again, cringy as fuck. But I always thought, oh, you've had ex-boyfriends, but if you got with me, there would be no other after me because I'd be the end. We'd be together forever. And what fueled that is all the people I had crushes on always saying, oh, you're such a great guy, in there rejecting me. You're such a great guy. You're so sweet. Oh, yada, yada, this, yada, yada, that. Because they're just being nice, trying to let me down. But I'm taking it as, you just don't know that you're ready for perfection yet. He was a menace. He was high school TJ, very much a menace.
Yeah, I mean, just listening to that, I cringed a little bit because I've known a couple guys
Yeah.
back in high school, and it was like, guy, get yourself together, my dude.
Yeah,
now,
I will say I'm glad I was never one of those super, like, and again, I have nothing against anime people because I love anime. I'm glad I'm not one of those who is super into it, where it's like, I'm all you need. You don't understand. I am your perfection. Like, I never voiced that I thought I was the one.
Whole spiel, and then Naruto running away.
Exactly. Yeah. I had a couple of those in high school. At least 3 every year of high school. There was some.
I feel like everybody did. Like, there was at least a couple every year.
It's like a rite of passage. Yeah. It's
the nerd rite of passage. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So you're growing up in Southern Texas, but you're being made fun of for wrestling when Texas is arguably one of the biggest places for wrestling.
Yes, it was weird because our parents and any of our parents will tell you, oh yeah, we always watch wrestling growing up. We watched as they would say it, the Hulk Hogan's, the Ricky the Steamboat Dragons, the Ric Flairs. Yeah, we watched them. But I feel like at some point there was just a switch to where everyone decided wrestling just wasn't cool to watch anymore. So when my generation was growing up, everyone's like, "Oh, you're still watching that fake shit. Oh, no, everyone knows that's fake. They're not actually hitting each other." But they would still love John Cena and The Rock. Like they would still be like, "Oh, what?" or "Suck it." And it's like, you're making fun of me for liking this, but you're quoting everything from it with it make sense.
Yeah. That's hard to wrap your mind around when you think about, like, a lot of wrestling can be attributed to Texas. The Von Erichs, etc., like, come out of in Texas. But whatever. That's weird. What? Okay, you were the weird kid, the cringy kid in high school, as you said. Now, were you like the emo kid? Were you the jock, the theater kid? Like, what were you in the stereotypical clique?
I was the theater and choir kid who also happened to be the teacher's, not want to say teacher's pet, but I was the kid that every teacher loved because I followed the rules for the most part and was like making great grades. And I was able to like juggle choir, theater, all the secondary choirs that went with it, but was still very active in classes. So just that, I think, yeah, just theater choir kid is a good way to encompass it.
So you were the kid I beat up in high school. Got it.
Yeah, most likely, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was the jocks, right? That pushed kids into lockers. I did all that. All right. So now we're learning a little bit about that. Great upbringing, mom and dad, great people. How many siblings you got?
Yeah. So that's the funny part. So from my mom, I have one sibling who I can truly consider my only sibling because he's been there from his birth all the way to now. But from my birth father, there are at least 8 other siblings, and I barely keep in contact with one, maybe 2 through Facebook. Every other one's like, "Oh, hey, I'm your brother. You know, we had the same dad." I'm just like, I don't know him. I don't know you. I'm not gonna pretend to know you. I get you want to try to form this relationship, but I don't even have a relationship with him. I don't really want to attempt to have one with you because I'm never gonna see you in person. So let's just leave it be. Move on from there. And it may sound like a dick, but it's like I've known my brother his whole life. He just turned 20. So 20 years, this is my brother right here. We've lived together. His father basically is my father. He's been in my life since I was 2. So it's like, this is my family. If you want to be Facebook friends, sure, whatever, but don't. Again, it probably sounds like a dick to some people, but don't try to form a relationship.
That's fair. That's fair. All right. Well, we won't bring up too much family's personal stuff because that's not what we do here. Fast forward into the early stages of your 20s, man. I know that you were heavily active in the theater still. But let's go back a few years. What inspired you to keep going into the theater side of things?
So that's a really great question. No one's ever asked me that before. Because there was a point in time where I thought maybe I should take a step back, because I feel like every kid, when they have these passions like theater or choir, your parents are always going to tell you where's the money in that, because they want you to have a solid backup plan. And I was very adamant that I was going to be successful in it. But it was like right around when COVID started, I started second guessing. It was like, okay, maybe they're right. Maybe I should just take a step back, put this on the back burner and everything. And then we were hanging out at my uncle's house one night, and he and I were always semi-close, but he just looks at me and is like, "Nephew, I just want you to know I'm proud of you and everything you're doing. Like, I saw that little short film you were in, and I know it's not gonna be long till I see you up on the screen one day. And that just told me, I was like, yeah, I need to be doing this. And then, not to bring back the family stuff again, because I can go on that for a tangent. He passed away literally 3 days later, and I was like, there's no way that was just a coincidence that conversation happened, and that was my last time seeing him. So from that point on, I was like, I have to stay passionate about this. I'm doing this for a reason, and that just solidified it right there. So ever since that moment, it refueled me to continue doing what I love, and I put in more hours, more practice into the craft. And between that point and now, it's definitely been a big improvement, because you could tell at one point that I was starting to lose the passion for it. And sometimes it would show on stage, but after that, it all came back.
I mean, I'm not too involved in the religious conversation, and I don't try to be when it comes to this, but it's like in your head, you were asking God to give you a sign, and that was literally that. It was the path that you follow. Well, I don't know if that's what you believe in. I'm not going to try to pretend that's what you believe in, but that's kind of like that higher being being like, listen, you were asking, here's your answer.
Yeah.
I mean, condolences about his passing, because that's a rough timing, but like, that was your sign. Somebody said it to you that was like, oh shit, okay, this is what I got to do. Okay, so pandemic conversation. Now you're not in theaters, you're not doing things on stage, you're not in groups of people. You're a content creator. Does that passion just come naturally from the theater to online? Like, where did we go from here?
Yeah, I would say it kind of stems from the theater, and I'd say 85% theater, 15% wanting to be that perfect guy that high school TJ wanted to be. And I saw that TikTok was a thing, and people started getting famous off of really, really simple shit in the early stages. So I was like, let me try my hand at it. And I started off doing the random shit. I think the first ever TikTok video I posted was me drinking a raw egg, and my mom was like just roasting me in the background. And I remember freaking out when it hit 100 views. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna be fucking famous. And then I eventually got onto the wrestling side of things, and I started from there with I forgot the name of it, but it was one of those wrestling promo leagues and shit. And it really just helped me combine two loves. It was showing myself out there, like showing people I'm talented, but also combining wrestling with it. It was basically just like a recipe that fell into my lap. And I've been on this content creation journey ever since. And truly, if we didn't have the pandemic, I don't know if I would have ever joined TikTok.
I mean, I've said this in previous interviews as well. If it's not for the pandemic, this podcast alone doesn't exist. Like, it's literally one of the reasons that this even started. There's more to it, and you can listen to that when you watch my interview that was done on me last season. But that's me promoting myself. So, okay. You're now into TikTok. You found your way to Wrestle Talk. But I want to go back before that, where you're doing dumb shit with drinking raw eggs and your mom roasting you.
Okay.
Getting hundreds of views. Okay. And thinking you're taking off. Now, like you alluded to this, that arrogant kid from high school started rearing his head again. Where, oh, I'm the best. I'm good. How did you... Let me rephrase this a little bit. I know... And you know, your last name is not Gatsby, but we're going to leave it at that. But where does Gatsby character come into play here? Because obviously it starts before Wrestle Talk, but it didn't start before TikTok. Yes. It found its life somewhere in between. So let's divulge into that.
So in high school, I'm pretty sure every kid has done this. One of the books we had to read was The Great Gatsby. And when we read this book, I watched the movie also, and I was like, this dude is everything I envisioned myself being, minus the murder and the death and all that. But just a guy who carries himself with this great composure, even though he has all this other shit going on behind the scenes. And he's just, if you see him, if you don't know his life, you're just like, that's a really cool fucking guy. He's the life of the party. And to me, I was like, I want to be like that. But I had never really taken the name yet until I started on my music journey in high school also. And I was like, well, I need a name because TJay, last name redacted, isn't really going to be a household name. No one's going to be like, oh, put on that new TJay, last name redacted. So I was like, what can I do as a name? I tried Lil TJay at first, and I was like, nah, that's not going to work. Fast forward to now, there's actually a rapper called Lil TJay that I feel like he and I will cross paths later, and I'm going to have a talk with him. But I started going through everything, and I was like, what can go with this? And then right around the time we were reading The Great Gatsby and everything, and I got hooked on that, I was like, TJay Gatsby. It started off as 3 names, and then I was like, TJay Gatsby. And it just flowed so much that I was like, I think this is it. And eventually got to the point where some people, before they found out my real name, in fact, some people in my Discord service still think Gatsby is my actual last name. It just became a part of me. And I started carrying myself like I wanted to be. So I took the best parts of that arrogant, cringy fucking high schooler, which was the compassion and being a joy around people, and then took the humility of the Gatsby character at times and combined them to make this person that I want to be. Because when I'm on camera, at least I've started molding my real self with Gatsby more now. But when I first started the TJay Gatsby character, aside from music on TikTok, it was a character. It was to the point where I would literally set up the camera, be like, okay, this is how the intro is going to go. This is how I'm going to do this. And then as soon as I hit record, it was just boom, character on. I was put together. I had the confidence and everything. You couldn't tell that there was probably shit going on in my life or that I just finished a 12-hour shift at McDonald's or anything, because I wanted to put on that persona that, damn, this is a cool ass motherfucker right here. And when it first started, that's exactly what I had. And then, of course, everything else started happening. And I started redefining the character until I found what I felt really worked the best.
Oh, I mean, until we became, and I'll say it like this, personal friends, I thought it was Gatsby too. Right? Like, yeah. But then you, and oh, spoiler alert for anybody that doesn't know, my name's not actually Shadow, but you're not getting that. But you also like that doesn't make sense when you found out my name, right? Like,
yeah.
Like it's who we create ourselves to be, and we're our authentic selves, but we're just on a different moniker. Mm-hmm. Because let's be real, we're in the online world. People don't need to know shit. And I agree. I can't agree with you. Right? There'll be times where I come on here to do a pod with Scowls, Will, whoever it is, even you and the other guys. I could have the absolute shittiest day, but as soon as this turns on, I'm Shadow in the zone. I'm not, who I am in day to day. I digress. All right. Now you alluded to it. Your music journey. You are independent music creator. I don't know if you consider yourself a rapper or what at this point, but in the music industry now, you've developed that. So how's that going? I know you've worked with Laugh Not Famous and stuff like that on some tracks. Please tell us about your journey there and where that's gone so far.
So it is going really well. I recently released an EP back in November, and Loft is on one of those tracks. And right now we are actually working on a joint collab album that will hopefully be released sometime next year. It has its ups and downs. Like the days when I get inspired, it'll be the most random things. I'll just be at work or just sitting around my house, and then a melody will just pop into my head. And at that point, it's like a timer starts. I have like 2 minutes to find exactly what I'm looking for on the software I use, or else I'm going to lose it. And when I find it, it's like a train that just got full steam and it's rolling and it's rolling. And if I'm on a really good day, I can create 3 beats in one day. And then I just got to start coming up with lyrics for it. But then on the flip side, and this actually happened very recently, you get that writer's block, just straight creator's block. For a whole 2-3 week period, I was stuck. I could not figure out where I wanted to advance any of this music. I was like, I can't think of the sound I want. Because I wanted to flow into this very easily, and I can't think of that. And it just had me starting to get very down, because at one point I was like, I used to make at least 2 songs every week, and now it's been a month and I haven't even finished 1 song. And I'm looking at my numbers on Spotify, and I see certain songs starting to like get really popular and starting to get up there in the numbers. And I'm like, okay, they really like this formula. And I'm working on something very similar to that. So why can't I find that last missing piece? And then I go back and listen to what I consider to not be my failures, but my experiments. Because one of the songs on my most recent EP, it was a rock song. I had never done rock before. It was originally supposed to be like an R&B song, or maybe a pop love ballad. And then I got very inspired by Bon Jovi, and I was like, I think it should be a rock song because the lyrics fit it really well for rock. The track turns out great. It's just my vocals on it, because I recorded it in one take at like 2 a.m. in my closet. So I'm trying to be quiet and not wake up my neighbors, but also trying to get it to sound good. And I could have deleted it because the vocals are not top notch, but I listened to it. I'm like, there's sound there. I know what I want. And even when it feels like I can't figure it out, I find a way to do it. So I use that as my way of saying, take that next step. Take that next step and open your eyes to a broader spectrum, and you'll find the answer you're looking for. And it helped me. I did that, and immediately the writer's block just went away, cleared up, and I started writing again. And I started working on the songs, and I've actually started working on a remastered version of that rock song so that I can get the vision that I always wanted for it to actually come true. So with all of that, and then I actually had a friend reach out to me randomly. She was like, I know you do the music thing. I really like the music you're putting out. I was wondering if you could give me some advice on how to get this started. And that really told me, okay, there is something that's coming out of this whole music thing. So this is also something I need to keep putting efforts into, and not start half-assing it or trying to just phone it in, because it's obviously working. If someone really claimed they love this song and wants advice from me about it, even though I'm not an expert at all in this music thing, I nowhere near an expert, but they wanted advice from me. I was like, okay, well, here we go.
Hey man, I'm lucky enough in my life to surround myself with a very lot of creative people, you included, whether it be music or your strategy with the way you make content. Myself, I do like graphics and stuff, and I try to place things together. And I agree. Like sometimes I just hit that block where I'm like, I don't know, and it's hard. There's been times where I've just taken a step back and just completely stepped away from it and been like, I'll come back. Just I need to break. And then like more recently, I've hit a flow, and I'm going with it and getting as much done as I can during it, because like you, when you're writing a melody or listening in your head, I get a vision in my head and I got to put it down quick, because if I don't at least give an idea to myself, I'm not touching it.
Yeah.
Now, you probably are arguably the biggest Michael Jackson fan I know. I don't know anybody that is more in love with his work than you. I know there's probably are people out there, but for me personally, you are the biggest Michael Jackson fan I know. So I got to know why. What is the draw there? Because I appreciate some of his music. Don't get me wrong, but him overall, I don't know. It's just it is what it is with me.
That's fair. That's fair. So, and my love for Michael Jackson started. It's really weird because I'm one of those people who, if I've known a little bit about you before, I probably won't know your full story unless I see you in something big or unless you die. Michael happened to be the latter because I knew about Michael before because it's Michael Jackson. Everybody knows about Michael Jackson, but I wasn't too entranced with him until the day he died. They start playing his music on every single station because it's Michael fucking Jackson. And I'm like, I like the sound. And I start getting more into it. I started watching all the specials about him. I started getting hyper fixated on him. And then at one point in 5th grade, I really wanted to be like Michael because we had a 5th grade talent show. And I did Billie Jean, and I would watch the video over and over again. I see the look on your face. I feel like I know where this is going.
No. If I could stop you for 1 second.
Uh-huh.
You just made me feel really fucking old. So thank you.
So I'm watching the music video over and over again. And around this time, they also released that Michael Jackson The Experience video game where you literally do the fucking dances. So I'm replaying Billie Jean over and over again. So I have this dance down packed. Like I'm talking moonwalk at all. And our 5th grade talent show, I'm performing it like I'm Michael Jackson. I'm talking doing the whole fucking all that shit, all the mannerisms, the movements. I did the fucking fedora toss as well. I did the moonwalk. And then from there, I was just like, I see the vision. And anytime I watch his music videos, it kind of teleports me to that moment because I try to tell myself, put yourself in their shoes. Like, imagine what they were thinking with this. And his music videos will always be like mini movies. They'd be these extravagant adventures, like Smooth Criminals, the most recent one I've looked back at. It's crazy to look at the production detail in it all and how much effort he puts into every little thing. Even somebody pointed out when he's going down the steps that lower, he's still doing choreo to like keep everything in time and keep it all moving as one. He could easily just chill against the stairs, do a little pose, but no, he's doing fucking stair choreo and shit, doing a moonwalk in place. And I can't ever fathom it. I'm just like, he literally seems like an enigma to me at times when I think about him, because it's like, there's no way this man actually exists. But when I'm watching the footage of everything, including some of his old tours, I'm like, who is this man? He's literally making people faint, and all he did was step up onto a stage and take his sunglasses off, and 5 women in the front row just fainted. It's so jarring to me that I'm so pulled in by it, because how the fuck do you do this?
No, I agree. Like, across the board, there's names of different genres that do that, have that kind of effect. Elvis, Johnny Cash, Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston. We can go on. I'm sure. More recently biased, Chester Bennington. They had that effect on people. And speaking of Chester, you're a music lover. Linkin Park, over the course of the most recently, just brought in Emily Armstrong as the new singer. What is your takeaway from that? Because I know you're very musically inclined, And I feel like this conversation is going to be interesting. So please let me hear your thoughts.
So yeah. I think she's a great singer. I've heard clips, and I'm one also who how chaotic am I allowed to get with this answer?
You can be as open and authentic as you need to, man. I want that honest opinion here.
So everyone who knows me knows I wouldn't say I'm a radical liberal, but I am one who's I wouldn't even put myself on a political scale. I'd say I'm just for human rights and really more feminist than anything. So when people started attacking her just because they brought her in and people were thinking she's trying to replace Chester, I was like, you're fucking idiots. They literally say in their shows, playing the role of Chester Bennington is all of you. It's basically as if Emily's just an added member, and she has a great voice, and she also is a Linkin Park fan, so I'm all here for it. When the stuff started coming out about her being a Danny Masterson apologist, being a Scientologist and all that, it hurt because I was like, damn, every time you see something cool, there's always that some little thing they did in the past. And I'm still finding out more stuff about her, so I'm hoping that it was just the past and not present, because I can separate the art from the artist. And I do think it's very crazy that she was an apologist for Danny, even though like that evidence is solid as fuck. As long as she's not a racist or homophobic, I'm still gonna listen to the music, because the only way she's either got to be a racist, a homophobic, or a kitty diddler. That's the only way I will not listen to her stuff.
With that being said, the Danny Matheson stuff, she has openly addressed that out recent already by stating that once she was informed of the whole thing, once attending the prelims, she stepped away completely. She doesn't have contact with them. She stepped away. Whether that's just a save face, I don't know. We'll see where that goes. But she addressed that. As for the Scientology stuff, I don't think we're ever going to get an answer for that. And whatever. Well, I'm not here to. I'm here to listen to music.
Yeah. Hey, we still watch Tom Cruise, and everybody knows he's a major Scientologist. So,
right. I'm a big Linkin Park guy. I have been. They've admittedly said that I think they did it going right with a female lead as opposed to another male, because you bring in another male, there's going to be way too many comparisons. So this allows them to start a new chapter in the Linkin Park story. Mike has gone on record saying they could have renamed it a new band, but this felt like Linkin Park. So they're going with it, and they're starting a new chapter. Now, we've talked high school, we've talked theater, we've talked music. Let's talk a little bit about the professional wrestling side of Mr. TJay Gatsby. You said you came across the TikTok platform and you got to this little, as you say, promo style group. You found your passion for that wrestling group on TikTok. Go from there until now. Let's go where this is going.
Okay. So this promo group they'd have weekly promo battles, and it disbanded at one point. I feel like everyone knows this guy now because he was one of those really bad ones that everyone found out. It disbanded because we found out the dude was a super racist. I think his name was Big John or something like that or whatever. But yeah, so after that fell apart, I was back on the normal side of TikTok for a while until one day I saw a video from Mr. Loft Not Famous, and I think it was something in me that was like, damn, this is a someone like me, a black man in his 20s who's not afraid to show his love for pro wrestling to the world. And I was like, I can vibe with this. So I started following Loft's content, and then eventually I found Phil and found other people. And then Loft followed me one day, and I was geeking out. It felt like a celebrity noticed me. I was like, oh my fucking God, Loft Not Famous follows me on TikTok. Oh my, I'm starting to get big and shit. And then me, Loft, and Phil become close. And then I start to meet everybody else. And then they added me into this Twitter group chat where we just shot the shit all day. And then Phil got kicked out of the PWC, the Panda Wrestling Connection Company. I forgot what the C stood for.
We don't talk about that. But
yeah. So once that all happened, we were just talking. We were like, what if we started our own content group? And then we were inspired by the Main Event Mafia. And we were like, well, we're a bunch of players in here because we know we got game. So what if we're the Main Event players? And then it formed that way. We made changes to the group dynamic and everything and started adding more members. And then eventually we all just became super fucking close because of our love for wrestling and how passionate we all are about it. And that we just really became one. And that solidified me in the wrestling space on TikTok. And then that's when I started meeting more people like you and Haley and Sammy, and started considering all of y'all like family, because it's like I can get on TikTok, at least when it was still the TikTok we knew and loved. I could get on TikTok and one of them would be live, doesn't matter who. I could just join in. We'd all just be shooting the shit about wrestling and just talking about life in general. And fast forward to where we are now, so many changes have been made. I accidentally started a civil war in Wrestle Talk by trying to do a Wrestle Talk Awards thing.
Oh, I remember that.
And then I found out everyone else was feeling the same way. And then we did round 2 with the Wrestle Talk Awards, thinking maybe people will understand. Nope, I started a second civil war. and then where we're at now, just everyone just shooting ideas to each other and seeing what sticks. And I honestly wouldn't change it for the world. Actually, that's a lie. I would change the TikTok algorithm back to what it was, because that shit is so trash now that I've heard it from many people in our space. It is killing the love of the game. I have not posted a video on TikTok in over a month because it is shadow banning everybody. It is sniping videos. It's just so trash the way the algorithm is, which is so hard because there's so much good stuff happening in wrestling that we all actively want to talk about and can't, because if we do, it's just going to be sent out into the void.
Listen, Wrestle Talk used to be a great space, very close-knit community. It's gotten way too big for its own good. And it's obviously also gotten to the point where it's more about quantity instead of quality now. And you're just putting out shit to put out shit. And it's taken away from creators like yourself, myself, The Will Gray, Phil, and a bunch of other ones that we talk to. It's taken away from our creativity process, our work. It makes us hate what we do on there. Everywhere else, we're doing our thing. We're killing it everywhere.
Oh yeah.
But like on TikTok, where it used to be a good platform, and a friend of mine, and I didn't believe her at the time, but made a lot of sense now looking back, and I owe them this. TikTok was not sustainable then. It's not going to be sustainable now. We used it in hopes that it was going to take us off. It only helped us form what we do today. And that's what we can attribute to TikTok. Did any of us blow up? I don't know. I don't know you're following off by heart. I didn't blow up. But
I did not. Yeah, not at all.
but like I wouldn't have met people, you, Pat the Wise Man, Sammy, stuff like that without it. Hope Division, bigger content creator here, Santi, stuff like that, right? Like I don't have that opportunity if I don't go and explore that land. But so you said you haven't posted in months or a month. I just post random shit now, just to post to show that I'm alive. you should know that. You should follow us. But I'm a live TikTok. Thank you. Now, MEP has gone through many changes, a cast of people. I don't know the current cast. I haven't kept up with the current product, and I apologize, busy with life. But the cast of people you have over there are all inspiring. You guys are a great group of people. You, Laugh, Phil, I don't know. Saul is there still, I believe. I don't know the rest, and I apologize to your coworkers there. But where's that going? What kind of stuff are you guys working on now? Like, where are we going with MEP?
So it's always weird because you can tell everybody's super creative, but with their schedules that they have, it's so hard for them to get ideas out. So they'll literally just shoot ideas to us and be like, hey, whoever can come up with this, go for it. And they've kind of unanimously claimed that me, Phil, and Law are just the big three now. And anytime it comes up in conversation, people will just be like, oh yeah, TJ's the leader of MEP. Because I'm usually the one that's streaming from the MEP accounts. And for the longest time, I did not like to have the title of leader because my whole thought process was we're a collective group that's bringing all our entertainment and our works to the people as one. But at some point, I just had to take on the title. But right now, we're trying to revamp some things, especially with football season now kicking back off. We're trying to bring back our sports themed show. We got a little bit of traction under us when Phil won the SummerSlam Design Bianca Belair's gear contest. So that gave us a little bit of traction, and now we're trying to keep that momentum going. Hopefully, we're trying to really get there because we want to become 2K next makers and do 2K media type shit. And Mania it's not too far away, but it's far away enough that we still have time to really get our name out there. And we're starting to do a real good job of that. And most of it is thanks to Loft, because out of all of us, he definitely has the biggest following and he streams on the regular. And anytime he's doing that, people think of Loft and then they start subconsciously thinking of us also. So not to say we're riding on his coattails, but we're definitely taking one every now and then when we can.
I know Laugh is really
get that footing.
I know Laugh will really hate this, but arguably he is the tribal chief of this bloodline.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Definitely hate that reference, but I appreciate.
As long as you don't call him the solo tribal chief, I think he'll be fine.
No, he's the original OG tribal chief, Roman Reigns. But I have much respect for Laugh and what he's done in TikTok world. I wouldn't say we're like buddy, like close that way, but we're polite with each other. We talk to each other. There's no beef there. There's never been beef there. So I respect everything he's done and where he comes from and all the hard work he does. All right. We've yammered on. Now, let's talk about the wrestling side. I know you kind of alluded to the beginning, but where's your fandom started from the geeky kid in high school up? So the last 10 years, I guess, because you're a young buck.
Yeah.
Your wrestling fandom, where's it taking you? What's your favorite match and stuff? And I know you've gone back and watched the history of stuff, and by all means, divulge and tell me where TJay Gatsby falls in the world of wrestling.
Okay, so many people don't realize this when they talk to me because of my age. They assume I probably started fairly recent. I've been watching wrestling since I was 3, so 2002, right before they changed to WWE, I started watching. So when it was still No,
listen, I hate you. This man said 2003 when I turned 3. Holy. Bruh. I was like 12 at that point.
Oh yeah, I love doing this to Sienna also because she's just like, fuck you. And I was like, yeah.
Fuck you indeed. But please continue the story, you fuck.
So yeah, I started watching when they were still WWF. So from a early point, and it's crazy because it's the same person who really got me hooked. It was a transition from The Rock to John Cena. Now, the one I vividly remember, it was Undertaker. No, it wasn't Undertaker. It was Edge, because it was when he was in his feud with Taker leading up to Mania 24. I remember Edge was facing somebody. I don't remember who it was, and he used the tombstone to win the match. And I was like, he can't do that. That's not his move. He can't do that. And from that point, Edge has been like, I wouldn't say he's my number one, but he's been my number three because he was always that cocky fucking bastard who ultimate opportunist would win however he could.
Canadian
and it
goat.
Stuck with me. Exactly. And if I say fast forward to high school, I feel like everybody goes through the phases where they start liking different eras. High school was when I was big on Cena. I was big on Cena because I was around the time of his US title run. And I was like, this man is defending that title every week, putting on great matches. Fucking Sami Zayn and then Kevin Owens and shit. And then fast forward to now, Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is my current favorite, which helped me realize that Shawn Michaels is my all-time favorite. Because I was like, there's something about Seth that just, I can't put my finger on it. I want to say he's my favorite, but I can't figure it out. And then I watched from 95 to 2002, and I was like, it's Shawn. Shawn is that cocky bastard that I always wanted to be. He's the ladies' man. He's flamboyant and still confident in his sexuality. He puts on great fucking matches, can talk on the mic. I was like, I want to be him. That is who I've always wanted to be. And that man has been my GOAT ever since, I say 2019 is when I realized that Shawn Michaels was my GOAT.
I hate the fact that you're this young. There's not that many years between us, but it's still fucking me up enough where it's like, holy fuck. All right. Favorite match of all time.
This one's always hard because every time I'll think I have a favorite, I'll see another one and I'm like, damn, maybe that one's my favorite. But if I had to pick a favorite, I think I would say either Mania 28, Hell in a Cell, because I can rewatch it over and over again, even though it's almost an hour long, or Brett versus Shawn, Mania 12. It's purely because of the story behind both matches. But if I had to pick one, I think I'm going Hell in a Cell. Hell in a Cell for sure.
A match that you find absolutely ridiculous that the IWC or / actual wrestling communities, I say that because some people don't believe in using the internet for this. That's still a thing, surprisingly. A match that you believe is absolute shit, but the IWC hypes up to No Tomorrow.
Ooh, that's a good one. Okay. Okay, I'll put the old Hogan matches aside because everyone's starting to realize that it was just glorified. I'll put a more recent one, or not recent, but Rock versus Hogan, Mania 18. I cannot stand that match, but everyone's like, it's so fucking great. You were there, damn.
Yeah, I'm that old. Thank you. No, but I agree. I don't like that match.
Yeah, everybody's like, "Oh, Icon versus Icon! It's so amazing!" And I'm just like, it was a basic, boring match. It wasn't even the best match on the card. What are we? Sure, hype it up, I guess, but okay.
Yeah, it wasn't the best match on the card. It was just build the biggest. Okay. The match that we'll flip it. The match that you love, undoubtedly, but everybody thinks it's fucking retarded.
Oh, this is a good one. Okay. I gotta think about this one. Because there are definitely a couple of them, but which one do I think is the biggest that I really love? Oh, okay. Okay. This one is really, really recent. It would have to be. I'm trying to think, which one was it? Which one was it? I was like, right. Oh, it'd probably be. I feel like it'd be a Roman versus Brock match. Because I was always one of those people who felt their matches were never bad. But if I had to pick one in particular, no. Because this one's really, really fucking recent. Rhea versus Becky, Mania 40. I really loved that fucking match. And then until recently, everybody was shitting on it, saying it was a bad match. But watching it in person, with how fucking cold it was, and they were still putting on a match like that, I was like, this is a really good match. And people are shitting on it, and I don't understand why. Maybe it's because they just don't like Becky, but it was a really great match to me that I still remember vividly. That's how much it's ingrained in me.
Okay. I got a couple more questions. Favorite title?
All time or currently?
All time. Do not say the spinner belt or I'm going to
Winged Eagle.
Okay.
Oh God, no. It's Winged Eagle for me. I love that Winged Eagle belt. It is so classic, but like so elegant at the same time.
I've asked this question before. I'm going to ask it one more time. The worst gimmick possible that you've ever seen, but you love, but the rest of the world hates.
Oh, okay. Worst gimmick that I love, but everyone else hates. I think I would have to say, I can't even look at other companies because I know it's a WWE thing because of all those fucking gimmicks.
I mean, you can any company you want. It doesn't matter. It's your opinion here, not everybody else's, right? It's a tough question to ask because the world we live in, and I mean, you grew up in so. I don't think he has an answer.
It's weird. I don't think I've ever been stumped like this, but No, I have my answer. All
right, let's hear it.
Because I'm one of the only people that actually still likes it to this day. Jinder Mahal, the Maharaja. I absolutely love the gimmick, and I'm one of the few people who actually really enjoyed his title reign. I really enjoyed that title reign, and everyone else is like, it was so trash, but I was like, I don't know, y'all. I was enjoying that shit. I was enjoying it, really.
I have one, and people look at me like, huh? Mind you, I'm not American. I am Canadian. Muhammad Hassan.
Oh,
I really enjoyed that gimmick.
Oh, man. That's fair. That's fair.
And again, because I'm not American, the gimmick actually works.
Yeah.
All right. This leads me into my final question of the night.
Oh.
If you could insert yourself into any potential wrestling match or managerial role within any company, what era and what company?
Oh. Fuck. I think I have two answers. For the managerial side, I would have loved to been a manager for DX because I'm just as chaotic as they were. And in the attitude era, I would have loved to be a manager for DX. Like I feel like that would have been a fucking time and a half. On the wrestling side of things, I would have to say I would love. Oh, it's my current goal. I want to wrestle Chris Danger. If I could put myself anywhere in time and space, it will be in the middle of the ring across from that man, ideally at a WrestleMania in Houston.
Hell yeah. If that happens, I'll fly in and watch that.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we've had a conversation. I look forward to chatting again in the future where we can divulge and spill some more tea where it will play. But this is concluding the episode of Spotlight with Shadow. Now, my good sir, I would like you to plug your merch, your stuff, everything. Go.
Okay, so you can find me on anything on Linktree /TJay Gatsby. All my music is on all streaming platforms under the name TJay Gatsby. And Main Event Players, we have merch out. It's on Printify. I guess you have to look up Shopify and just type in Main Event Players. But also check out anything outside the brand. That's usually where you'll catch me if I'm not doing a MEP stream. If you're in Texas, in Southeast Texas, Houston area, Galveston, Texas City, come see me do shows down in Galveston. I'm usually on the stage, if not on a train. Besides that, yeah, follow me on all socials. Again, TJay Gatsby. 2025 is going to be a big year for me and the Main Event Players. I feel it. Yeah, thank you to Shadow for having me on. This was a great fucking talk. I love anytime I get to just yap about my passions. It just tickles that very funny part of the brain. But yeah, this was an honor. I loved every second of this. And if we're doing a part 2, I would fucking love that because we can sit down and just unpack a lot of shit.
Like a dude, I want to sit down and spill some more tea with you very soon. That being said, this has been Spotlight with Shadow. Peace.